Good morning, guys. In today's video, it will be a little bit different as this is my first sponsored video. So let me switch the camera and show you what I received in the mail and what this video will be about and what I was sponsored with. So I have received this from TopDon, the TopScan OBD diagnostic tool or dongle. I had few requests for sponsored videos, but I refused them. But I know the TopDon brand and I know they are quite good. And also Dan has a TopDon scanner. Let me show you which one he's got. He's got this one. I think that's the Phoenix Plus. So it's more advanced than this one, but anyway, so let me talk about this one. I had to give my X-Tool back to my father for a time being because he needs it for his Mazda. He's got RX-8, so now I'm going to use this one to scan one car which arrived yesterday, and I'm curious to see what it can achieve or what it can do with that one. So I'm inside the car now. This is a Mazda 3, and what is interesting about this one, that it has 180,000 miles on the clock, which is the highest mileage so far we had. I wasn't here when the owner brought it, so Dan was only here, and he told Dan that, oh, I know, because I booked him in, so he came originally for camshaft replacement and oil strainer replacement. He told Dan that he already cleaned the intake manifold and the EGR parts, I believe, but he still told Dan to ask us to remove the intake manifold and do it again because he didn't clean the intake ports. So we're going to remove the intake manifold and check how dirty they are. But anyway, so let me get back to the car. So it has 180,000 miles on the clock, and the owner said that he wants to keep it for another 50,000 miles. So told Dan, and then told me that check everything on the car, what we can see, diagnose it, and get him back with a quote, like what we found and like how much it would be for him. And then he will give us permission if he wants us to get it done or not, or what he wants us to get done. But initially, what we are going to do 100% is the camshaft replacement and the oil strainer replacement. So now I've got that little dongle connected to the car. I'm going to pull up my other phone, and I've downloaded the app, which is a Top Guru, I believe, but I'll switch the camera and I'll tell you more. So yeah, it's Top Guru. So let me open it, and I already created an account. But what you need to do, you need to create an account, connect it to the car, and then you can diagnose it. So let me do the diagnostics. So now I'm in the menu of that app, and what we can do the auto scan, control unit, service, hot functions, and vehicle profile. First, I'm going to check the vehicle profile, what it says about it. It's pretty basic, pretty simple. And let me check the hot functions, what it can do actually. It can do the oil reset, which is important. That's I always do once I change the oil, because it affects the oil dilution data. The DPF region, I'm not going to try it if it does it actually, because I'll need to contact the owner for that, because we didn't agree on the DPF region. But as it says, it may be able to do it. I won't do the auto scan because I'm interested in the PCM only. So let's check that one. Read the DTCs. So yeah, the owner at the moment has 2 fault codes. I mean, it shows 3, but basically the first one and the third one is the same. He's got the P0101 and the P258B. I guess the second code is for the vacuum pump, so that is bad. I guess the worn camshaft damaged the vacuum pump, so I'm guessing the P0101 is triggered by the worn camshaft. But obviously, once we remove the valve cover, we'll see if the camshaft is worn or not. So yeah, now what I want to see the live data, so what it can do, what it can actually see, which is the data stream. So it can see the DPF or differential pressure, fuel temperatures, fuel injection learning values, and that's it. So it can't see all the usual live data which I'm checking when I do the diagnostics, which is like the brake booster, pressure sensor, values, the injector correction factors, coolant temperature, oil pressure, the last time the DPF regen was done, and so on and so forth. So it is not that comprehensive. It doesn't see everything. But for the money, you can buy it for, I guess it is around £55 here in the UK from Amazon, which I will include in the description. And if you buy through that link, I will earn small commission from it. It is, I guess, pretty good value for the money, because if you go to any garage, I guess they would charge between £50-60, maybe more, for just the diagnostics, and sometimes they just only give you the codes, so they don't even tell you what they may say something like what may be wrong with the car, but not all the time. I've seen that they basically just read the codes for you, and you are good to go, and you can find that out yourself. So basically with this one, you can use it on every car you have, or any other car you will buy in the future. I think it's a good deal. But what I want to tell you, like, because I've got different scan tools, I don't need it, so I'm going to give it away. I'll need to find out how to do that. I guess there are like websites when we can do a draw. So stay tuned to the channel if you are interested into receiving or winning this one. Or I would ask you though that only show interest, please, if you don't have access any scan tool. So make it fair. So I want to give it away to someone who will really use it, who really needs it. So if you have another scanner, please don't enter the giveaway or the draw, because it won't be fair. But yeah, pretty much that's what I wanted to say about this scan tool or OBD dongle. And now I need to bring the OTEL, because the X2 is with my father, and I need to see the live data, make my diagnosis, and then get back to the customer and tell him what we found. And based on what we find, we can quote the jobs what we think it will need to do. And yeah, but you will see everything, or I'll tell you about everything what I found with this car. So I have parked inside that little Mazda 3. I removed the the engine beauty cover to see the condition of the things from the engine bay. And I've decided to use not my scan tool, not the OTEL this time, but Dan's got the top done, the big one, the Phoenix Plus or Max or whatever. So I'm going to use that one because I'm curious to see what that can do actually. And also let me tell you something else, so that we want to say or show that we are neither perfect. So basically, you still can see this one in the background. It will be in a separate video, because we removed the manifold from it, and I'll update you what happened or what will happen to this one. But I want to talk about this Mazda 6, the white one, which had the infamous crankshaft bolt we couldn't undo. It's now back together, we've done it. Then is going to do the last oil change, because we just ran the flush in. But what happened, because we forgot to put one bolt back in, which is holding only one bracket. It seems like it's not even like an important bracket. It's holding that bracket to the timing cover. It's here. I can't really see. I'll try to show you maybe that on a different engine, but that is also like holding one coolant pipe to the engine. I think I can actually show that on Dan's engine. So let me switch the camera and show it on his engine. So that is Dan's cylinder head, and the pipe or the bracket or what I was talking about is this coolant pipe, and here is the bracket. So the bolt goes here, and there is one bracket once the timing cover is on, which is connects this one to the other one, so the bolt. But as it is loose and the engine is moving, that pipe can become loose from the engine, and actually it come off and it will leak coolant. So that's what happened to us. And it is a really good thing that it happened when the car was with us, rather than when we returned it to the owner, so we could fix it. Obviously we'll top up the coolant what it lost. But yeah, as I said, like, no one is perfect. Mistakes can be made, or like things can happen. We rectified the issue, and now the owner can pick the car up. And also Dan is keen that I show you his engine, like in what condition that is in at the moment. So here is that infamous engine, or famous engine, of which parts are already in 3 cars because we donated them. So basically he cleaned it somewhat already. Here are the pistons, and what's important, this piston, as you can see, it has like a continuity issues because a little bit of material is missing from it. So basically, what was the case with this engine? Dan bought the car from auction and it was running, it started up, it had DPF issues or lights on, and a slight knock, but a very excessive blow by. So he couldn't figure it out what it was. He tried a few things which I'll explain, because there will be a video about rebuilding this engine and then trying, testing, starting up everything. But yeah, so at the moment we are at this stage with his engine. So here I'm in the car, but now with Dan scan tool, and let me show you this. 180, nearly 180,000 miles, and what I didn't see before, you see, it has all the 6 buttons. I didn't see that on either on CX-5 or a 6 Series, and this little Mazda has them all. So it's quite nice, but let me show you the diagnostic tool. So I'm quite like, it has that topology function, which is quite nice function, but I'm not really interested in. I'm going to use only the PCM, so click that, and I want to enter to that module because I want to see the live data. So as you can see, it can actually access a lot more live data parameters. So now let me start the car and check what I usually check. The car has the check engine light on, the SCBS light on, and the yellow triangle. That can also mean the oil pressure, but in this case that is the vacuum pump, because it can mean the oil pressure, low oil pressure, or the vacuum pump. So what I usually check on these ones, let's say the brake booster pressure sensor, which will be quite soon here. Yeah, as you can see, it is like 28-ish, and it doesn't really go like below, I would say won't go even below 20. So that's a problem. 100% the vacuum pump is bad, that needs replacement. Also, I don't know if you can hear it, but I can hear a slight knock. I think that is the flywheel. So now let me go further what I usually check. Distance since the last DPF regen, it is in kilometers, 157. That's not bad, that's quite good, to be honest. Oil dilution, it's 8 grams only, still not bad. Oil pressure at 80 degrees, it's 140. Let me check at 2000 RPM. 150, nearly 160, and the 3,500. It's not that bad, but obviously we'll remove the oil pan because it came for the oil strainer replacement, and we will replace the oil strainer because at this mileage it's like recommended. And what you could see that like values went to red. You don't need to be scared of that. That's just the range of the scan tool. It should be at least at 3,500 RPM, minimum 360 kPa, so don't need to worry about that. It looks like the DPF is clean because average of the differential pressure sensor is 0 kPa or 1 kPa at idle, which is good. Exhaust pressure sensor at idle reading good. Let me check the correction factors of the injectors. All 4 looks good. All are below, like between -1 and +1. Injector number 3 may go like in a future, because that's far from 0, because the numbers closer to 0 the better. And I want to see the soot accumulation. Yeah, the DPF will regen quite soon, because once that reaches that certain number, I don't know what that number is, once it reaches, it will start or trigger the DPF regen. But it's not bad at all. Yeah, and also at this mileage, I will recommend the owner to getting the timing chain done as well. But obviously, once we remove the valve cover, we will see the condition underneath it and see like how dirty or oil sludgy the things are. But now let me open the hood and show you the engine bay. So I opened the hood, the bonnet. Let's have a closer look at the valve cover. As you can see, it is pretty wet. So that needs removal, checking the condition underneath. As I said previously, the owner done the carbon cleaning, but he didn't do the intake ports. Let's check what kind of job he's done. I see one bolt is missing here. I don't know if it was missing before or not, so that's lost. But other than that, I can't really see any imperfections. What he's done, let's say even that one, the engine temperature sensor is routed back properly, connected back. I would say he's done quite a good job. So as you can see, you don't need to be a pro. You can do a decent job. It's just like how seriously you take what you do. Yeah, so from up top, let me check again the drive belt or auxiliary belt. It looks okay as well. So let me sum up what I think the car will need. As I said, initially it came for the camshaft replacement, oil strainer replacement. I think that is reasonable, and we will do it obviously. He asked us to remove the intake manifold and check, so we will do that. And on top of that, what definitely needs doing is the vacuum pump, because that's bad. We recommend the timing chain, and also I'll tell him about if he noticed that knocking sound, which we think is the flywheel. So I'll need to give him a call, quote him for the job, and see what he decides, what he wants to get done. Oh, and also I forgot to mention that the exhaust pressure sensor is, as you can see, it's the upgraded one. So that's a good sign. So I've been on a phone call with the owner of that Mazda 3, and he basically approved. So we're going to remove the top end, bottom end, remove the intake manifold, EGR parts, timing chain, and also going to replace the vacuum pump. So without further ado, let me get the job cracked on, because I think I can do that in maybe 3 hours time, everything removing except the timing chain. So yeah, I just want to remove the things so I can prepare the job for tomorrow or the next day or whenever we'll have time to work on. Well, I think if everything goes according to the plan, it should be quite quickly done. And that one we are going to put it back together, and after we're going to do the carbon cleaning once we fitted the oil pan. So we have removed quite a lot of things already. As you can see, intake manifold, EGR parts, the bottom, the oil pan, the valve cover. Dan is doing the timing side of the things. I wanted to show you the cylinder head. Quite nasty. Camshaft is worn. I don't know where you can see it properly. Maybe on this one. Yeah, there it is. So obviously we're going to clean it. We're not quite shocked. The car has 180k on the clock. Yeah, so we're going to clean it, and hope the intake port's not that bad. Bit oily. We guess that the turbo is like leaking small amount of oil. That's why it's wet, not dry. But at this mileage, it's quite like expectable. The oil strainer, we will show you that in a bit. We need to still remove the oil pump. Dan is working on it. So now I'm going to remove the camshaft parts. So the camshaft, journals, bolts, whatsoever. And I think then we will remove the oil pump and we'll call it a day. So here it is. Again, the intake port's not that bad, or like the part's not that bad. What the problem is here, this one, the cylinder head, it has 180,000 on the clock, but it has its mileage, but bad. And guys, what was very important, and we just found out or just noticed like very lately with this one, don't let it to get to this stage. And here is the reason why. I don't know how much you can see, but there is the channel for the oil to come from that hole and be delivered there to the camshaft journal. And as you can see, the camshaft journal is scored, but let me bring a flashlight so you can see it better. So here it is. The first journal is scored and the second one too, and the rest are fine, as you can see. So the problem with that, we can't give a warranty on that, because I mean, if we change the cylinder head, then we can, sure, but that it would be like, it would include further cost and would be much more expensive. So what we are going to do, I'll still need to contact the owner, but very likely we're going to assemble it as it is, because the only reason is we dare to assemble it as it is because there is no bearing in that journal. So basically the camshaft, when it's spinning, cannot turn it and block the oil way or passages, so it like sees the engine. It cannot turn it. I'll show you from the show you and try to explain a little bit better what I mean. So basically what could happen if there is a bearing? So because lack of lubrication, the camshaft would touch the bearing and it like bit by bit, and it will like, once it catches on, it turns. And once it turns, the oil passage will block, and then that catastrophic engine failure occur or happen. So obviously, as I said, I still need to contact the owner, but very likely he will want to go ahead just not to replace the cylinder head, because that's completely like bigger job. So I think he will go ahead like with like cleaning it as we clean all of these, and then assemble the things back together and then drive it. So here is that top part of the journal, and as you can see, the passage is blocked with like carbony, oily residue, and that's why it has that scoring marks, because it was already like touching because of the lack of the lubrication. And now let me show you the oil strainer. I don't know if the owner done an oil flush or not, and he said like it solved the oil pressure issue for him, but guys, it won't solve. The only way you can solve it if you replace the oil strainer. And yes, you may say, but hey, you do the oil flush as well and you mention it in your videos. Yes, but here is the difference. So what we do the oil flush when we clean the top, so the cylinder head, replace the oil strainer, then we change oil, take it for a test drive, test it, and once we are happy with the values, then we do the oil flush and change obviously the filters. So 2 times the oil filter, 2 times the oil. And after that, we recommend the owner to get the next oil change done in 3,000 miles. So yeah, that's how we do the oil flush. But because if you just do it like let's say like he done it, if he done it, because I'm not 100% sure, what you can loosen up those bits or oil deposits or like carbon deposits, oil sludge, and can go to different places, block something else. So it's not a good idea. It may help in a short time, or like it's like a very like temporary fix, I would say. So if you want to fix the oil pressure issue on these 2.2 Skyactiv diesels, oil flush is not enough, trust me. Get the valve cover removed, clean it, and then replace the oil strainer. So I'm about to fit back the new timing chain components on the Mazda 3, but because it had the camshaft journal like worn a little bit, we are not going to put just back the camshafts. I'll remove the intake camshaft as well. I'm going to lube the journals with assembly grease or assembly lube. This is red stuff. So basically people who are rebuilding engines use it because it is a thicker grease. So even though if they don't start up the car and they store it for 6 months, a year, it will still stay there. Whereas if you just put like a regular oil, it will like flow out from underneath and it will run dry when the first start up. So even like I've heard, even without oil or not having oil pressure, with this stuff the engine can run like 30 seconds and nothing will happen to it. I don't want to test it obviously, but I'm going to use on the journals, on the exhaust side, intake side. I'm going to torque down the things, put back the timing chain components. The oil pump is already in. Dan is already, or I think he's finishing valve cover gasket replacement on a Volkswagen. I don't know what's that, Golf. It seems a Golf or a Passat. It's 1.6 diesel. And then I really hope he will get this one done for me. And then we are going to do the carbon cleaning on this one. So walnut blasting the intake ports, walnut blasting the intake ports in the 3 series, and walnut blasting the intake ports on the CX5. So I have greased the journals with the assembly lube. You can see it is that red stuff. Now I can fit back the camshaft, and then I can tighten the top journals and can start with the timing chain components. So on the little Mazda 3, we already put back the valve cover, the timing cover and the timing chain components, and also the oil sump. The carbon cleaning is done, or the walnut blasting is done on that Mazda 6, the 3 and the CX5. Then it's going to touch up the other two, and in the meanwhile I'm going to assemble this one, the Mazda 3, back together. But we're going to assemble all three today, which will take us, I guess, maybe 3-4 hours, and then we want to start them up and test drive them. But that will be probably tomorrow. We will see anyways. So let's have a look at them from the other side. So this is the Mazda 3, the Mazda 6, and the Mazda CX5. So we started all three cars, the Mazda 3, the 6 and the CX5. These two are fine, so the 6 and the 3 is fine. It's running. Obviously they'll need a little bit more testing, like test driving, checking oil pressure, leaks and things like that, and then we can hand them back to the owners. However, the CX5 has more issues because like the carbon cleaning was just like because the owner didn't do it like properly. He needed like quite like a touch up, so we done that. The vacuum pump is bad on it, the battery is bad, and the funny thing is when we start it up it shows DPF soot accumulation too high, but when I scan it for codes it doesn't give any fault codes at all. When I check the live data, to be honest, it doesn't really seem that the DPF accumulation is too high or the soot is too high. So we need to dive deeper in that one. The owner told me that it had a DPF cleaning before. I don't know if they altered the ECU or the software or something. It looks like somewhat, or maybe the ECU is not working properly. So we need to do further tests on that one. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to let all three owners like what we found out, what's the case with the cars, and then these two can go back quite soon. But that CX5 will stay for a little bit longer because we need to investigate what is exactly wrong with that one.